In September of 1987, a 6-year-old girl sat down at her kitchen table in Brazil. Her name was Leide. She had just finished playing with the most beautiful thing she had ever seen, a fine, glittering blue powder. It glowed in the dark, like captured starlight. Her grandmother made her a sandwich. She ate it with her hands. Within days, her hair would fall out. Her skin would burn. In less than a month, she would be dead. And the entire city around her, a Brazilian capital of over 1 million people, would be sealed off, quarantined. This is the story of the worst radiological disaster in the Americas, and almost no one outside Brazil knows it ever happened. September 13, 1987. Goiânia, Brazil. A city of 1.5 million people in the heart of the country. 2 men walked into the ruins of an abandoned medical clinic. Their names were Roberto and Wagner. They were scrap collectors, men who made a living selling metal, copper, anything they could strip from places nobody wanted. The clinic had been empty for 2 years. The doctors had moved to a new building, and they had left something behind. Something they never should have left. A machine, a cancer treatment device called a teletherapy unit. Inside it, sealed behind thick steel, was a small metal capsule. And inside that capsule was a substance so dangerous that 1 gram of it could kill a man. Its name was Cesium-137. The 2 scrap collectors did not know any of this. They only knew that the machine was made of heavy, valuable metal. So they loaded it into a wheelbarrow, and they took it home. For days, Roberto and Wagner tried to break the machine apart, with hammers, with screwdrivers. Finally, they pierced the steel casing, and what they found inside changed everything. A small capsule, about the size of a plum, and inside, a strange crystalline powder. When the sun went down, the powder began to glow, a soft, otherworldly blue light. Wagner called his friends to come see. They thought it was magic. Some said it was a gift from God. Others said it must be worth a fortune. None of them knew that every second they touched it, their cells were being torn apart from the inside. A few days later, Roberto sold the capsule to a local scrap dealer named De Ver. De Ver was fascinated. He took it home. He showed his wife. He gave small pieces of the glowing powder to his family, to his friends, and to his 6-year-old niece, Leide. She rubbed it on her skin. She painted her body like a ghost. Then she sat at the kitchen table and she ate a sandwich with her bare hands. What happened next turned into one of the darkest weeks Brazil has ever seen. If you want to hear more true crime stories the English-speaking world has never told you, hit that subscribe button right now. A new forgotten case every week. Now back to Goiânia, because the blue powder was only just beginning. Within 48 hours, the people who had touched the glowing powder began to fall sick. First came the nausea, then the vomiting, then a deep, burning sensation on their skin. Roberto's arm turned black. Parts of his flesh began to rot away. Wagner was worse. His body was shutting down from the inside. At first, the doctors in Goiânia thought it was food poisoning or some strange tropical infection. They sent the patients home with antibiotics. They had no idea. Nobody in Goiânia was trained to recognize the symptoms of acute radiation syndrome. In a country as vast as Brazil, a nuclear emergency was something that happened in science fiction movies. Not something that happened in your living room, but the sickness spread quickly. De Ver's employees collapsed. His wife became weak. His niece, little Leide, started vomiting blood. And De Ver's wife, Maria Gabriela, she was the only one who saw the pattern. Maria Gabriela Ferreira did not have a degree in physics. She did not know what cesium was, but she knew this. Everyone who had touched the blue powder was dying, and she knew she had to stop it. On the morning of September 29th, she walked into the scrapyard. She found what was left of the glowing capsule. She wrapped it in a plastic bag. She took a bus across the city of Goiânia, alone, carrying in her hands one of the most dangerous objects in South America. She walked into a public health office. She set the bag on the desk of a confused government clerk, and she said, "This is killing my family." That clerk called a doctor. The doctor looked at the patients pouring into the hospital, covered in burns, losing their hair, bleeding from the gums, and he realized something almost unthinkable. This was not a virus, this was not a poisoning, this was radiation, and it had been loose in a Brazilian city for more than 2 weeks. Maria Gabriela saved thousands of lives that day, but it was already too late for her own family. Before we continue, I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you believe you would have been brave enough to do what she did? Would you carry death in your hands to save a city of strangers? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. The Brazilian government declared a full radiological emergency. The army moved in. Over 112,000 people had to be tested for contamination. 20 city blocks had to be demolished. Houses were torn down to the ground. Soil was scraped away and sealed in lead containers. The streets of Goiânia were washed down like a crime scene, but the people could not be washed. 4 of them would die in the weeks that followed. Little Leide was the first. Her body could not fight back. Her organs failed, one by one. She begged her mother for water she could not drink. When she died, she had to be buried inside a sealed lead coffin. Protesters threw stones at the cemetery, terrified that even her small body in the ground would poison the earth around her. Maria Gabriela, the woman who saved the city, was the second to die. And then Devere's 2 employees, Israel and Admilson, good men, who had been handed a glowing treasure and were never told that it would end their lives. The capsule of cesium is still in Brazil, sealed inside concrete, buried in a secure facility in the countryside. It will remain deadly for more than 300 years. The clinic that abandoned the machine was never punished with prison time. The owners paid small fines. Life moved on, and over the decades, the world slowly forgot what happened in Goiânia. But the survivors did not forget. The empty chairs at dinner tables, the children born afterwards, with questions they are afraid to ask, the scars that never healed. The blue powder took more than lives. It took a piece of Brazil's soul. This is only one of hundreds of true crime stories from Brazil that the English-speaking world has never heard. Forgotten tragedies, uncovered scandals, crimes that the world left behind. If you want to hear the next one, make sure you are subscribed right now. Because next week, we are telling the story of a Brazilian priest who tied himself to 1,000 balloons, flew into the sky, and was never seen again. Until you subscribe, the dead cannot be remembered. See you next case.